Hello everyone, out in the garden, doing my weekly preview, and about 20 degrees, quite nice. Got to do it in the garden, but there might be a bit of background noise, so apologies if there's too much, like golden retrievers barking or playing with bits of plastic or cars in the background or whatever, but there you go. I'm going to focus this week purely on the big event at the weekend, which goes from Friday, which is the 24th of June, to Sunday the 26th, which is the British Athletics Championships at Sports City, Manchester. And I was there last year, and they've gone back this year, and it's the final trials for the upcoming World Championships in Oregon, Eugene, Oregon, which take place between the 15th and the 24th of July. And the selection will actually take place on Monday, 27th of June. So this is it. There's no further options for athletes to go off and try and get qualifying times elsewhere. It's there's quite a lot of caveats in the selection policy, but basically top two, if they've got the qualifying standard, will go, and then third spot is discretionary. And in some cases, for example, the women's 800, there's 4 spaces because Keely Hodgkinson's got a pass to the World Championship's been a Diamond League winner last year. It looks like full coverage on the BBC Red Button, which is channel 981 on Sky, and probably available on the iPlayer and the like. Friday starts at 5 to 4 in the afternoon, and then it's pretty much on all day Saturday and Sunday, on, as I say, on the Red Button. So look forward to it, and there's going to be some cracking races, providing people rock up, which you'd expect them to. I'm going to start. Well, also I should say, I have the advantage, it's now Tuesday, and I've already listened to things like the Zach Seddon and Ollie Lum doing the Sunday podcast, which focused on this as well. And even since they recorded at the weekend, there's been some changes, so I've got a slight advantage. I don't know if I'm going to predict the top 3 in order, but I'll give a preference to what I'd expect the top 3 to be. Yeah, I was interrupted there by something I didn't expect, which was a young lady coming in to see us. So anyway, yeah, it's on BBC Red Button, full and extensive coverage, should be good. Weather I think is look pretty good. Let's just hope, and I'll come on to it in a second, that there's not significant wind for the distance races, because that affects tactics, and that nice mix of sitting kickers against those willing to push the pace on is more equalised when it's still conditions. So anyway, let's, I guess, take it in order. We'll start with the 800s, and I'll start with the ladies first. And I'm not intending going into intimate detail of, what the likely selections are and who's got the qualifying times, etc. But I might touch on that a little bit. Bearing in mind, these are not trials for the European Championships, which take place 15th to the 21st of August and are selected about a month later on the 28th of July. But it might have a bearing, I guess, on where people are in the British pecking order, and some might have opted to put themselves forward for different events for the Europeans and the Commonwealths or the Worlds or whatever, or going for all 3. So looking at the women's entries, it looks like we've got about 20 or low 20s number of entries. So depending on how many actually register on the day, 2 or 3 heats. Let's go with 3 heats, so it's likely to be the first 2 and 2 fastest losers, which would mean these people, and I've jotted down 6 athletes that sort of stand out to me, would be divided equally into 3 heats. There's no Keely Hodgkinson, who I say has got a pass to the World Champs anyway, and is doing the 400 metres at the British Trials. But That leaves, and there's no Laura Muir now, who's actually looks like she's selected to run the 1500 metres at the championships, leaving Gemma Reekie as the fastest this year in the field with 1:58.44, and she's the third ranked. So then you've got Ellie Baker, who's done 2:0.6, Alex Bell 2:0.6, who made the Olympic final last year. Gemma Finch has done 2:02.6. Abigail Ives on the up has done 2:01.88, and Jenny Salmon, who's been ran a PB 1500 recently, done 2:0.7. So it's extremely close, with Reekie on a day a little step ahead. The interesting thing is that the qualifying time for the World Championships is 1:59.5. So I'm not going to go into who, the whys and wherefores of who's got it, but one or two of those girls have not got it. So in selecting the event, does that mean they're going to go for it? I've not seen that before. I think some might be passing on that and just heading, trying to get a good performance and getting the selectors' minds for the Europeans, perhaps. My gut feel. I saw it happen last year with the Olympics. Very difficult to go for it on the day and get the qualifying time in front man, almost sacrificing yourself potentially. So my reading of it is that the top three are Reekie, Bell and Baker, probably in that order. Gemma Reekie, good at winning race, will certainly go for it. Alex Bell will probably hope that Gemma Reekie has a suspect race and just picks up the pieces, but Reekie will definitely go for the win, I should think. And if she's feeling fine and good, and form has been a little bit up and down, but if she's feeling good, I think she can take the win. So Reekie, Bell and Baker for me. So that is relatively, probably got it wrong, but that's relatively straightforward compared to the men, where I've written down 16 potential finalists. I should say the women's 800 heats are on Saturday at 2:15 and the final on Sunday at 4:45. The men's heats are at 1:45 on Saturday and the final on Sunday at 4:35. With the men, a number have got the world champs qualifying time 1:45.20. It's perhaps not so much about that as just how many are in the mix. The heats are the first things to deal with, and I've got 15 that I've written down who you feel could be in the final. I'll just go whip through these and you tell me if they've got no chance of making the final, but I think any one of these could. Bizimana, Bottrell, Bergin, Davis, Dustin, Giles, Grice, Howes, Langford, Learmonth, Patterson, Rowden, Sharman Newell, Thomas Staines and Jamie Webb. That's 15 people there. Yusuf Bizimana has run 1:47.05 this year. He's the 13th ranked in Britain, but he made the NCAA 800 metre final recently in the States, and he's been high up in the British Champs before. Alex Bottrell's just started out, first race, 1:47.30 on the out. Max Bergin, fastest in the world this year, completely changes the dynamics in most people's opinion if he does make the final, being such a strong front runner, no messing about. Whether he'd employ such tactics in the heat, but some people might be hoping that he is in their heat, being a front runner and making it quick. Not saying he will, but in total I had something around 30 people accepted, which could make 4 heats, and this is the big difference. 4 heats means only the winner, and 4 heats, that's 4, and 4 fastest losers go through. That's potentially 5 people from one heat can go through. Bit of discussion on social media about this. Should they have heats Friday, semi-final Saturday and final Sunday? most people would think you would do when the depth of the field is like this. It's going to be cutthroat. 1 year saw Michael Rimmer get a fastest loser spot in the final and then win the final the following day. The other argument is the top ones will make it, the really top ones will make it, or the ones on form will make it, and it's good entertainment for the crowd. But yeah, tough, very tough on the athletes in mind. So Buzimana made the NCAA final. Bottrell just coming back. Bergin, fastest in the world this year, 1:43.52. Archie Davis, like a number of them, no, not a number, but a few have entered other events as well. And perhaps Archie Davis, he's also in the 1500 on Friday night heats. Maybe, no disrespect to Archie, but the 1500's loaded as well. Something could go wrong in the heats. You then got the 800 heats on Saturday, so you've got a backup. Maybe that's his thinking. Maybe he's not just decided what to do. He did 1:44 last year, but he's only 1:47.77 this year. So perhaps, you know, not a potential medal contender. Oliver Dustin, 1:43 last year, really searching for form and struggling this year. Not shown anything yet. Elliot Giles was entered for the 1500, no longer in the 1500. He's only run 7th on time this year, and that was his indoor form, 1:45.42, although he just broke 1:46 last few days. Charlie Grice also entered in the 1500. Can't see him going for the 800. He's struggling for form. He had an injury. Charlie really struggling there. Dan Howes, not the fastest, in fact 15th fastest ranked in the UK, 1:47.41, but he won the Bucks Championships. He's a real racer. He's created some surprises recently. Suddenly in the mix, Carl Langford, second fastest ranked this year in Britain to Bergin, 1:44.61, PB in Germany just last weekend. Who knows what you're going to get for Carl? Was that just a one-off, or is that a sign of more to come? He's done 9 races outdoors so far. That's a lesson to quite a few people. Keep bashing away. You know, don't get disgruntled if your times are a bit low or slower than you think. Keep bashing away and it can come. Put himself in the mix. Guy Learmonth on 46.46, only 11th this year. Guy, I don't know what to say about Guy. Pulled out of Watford Grand Prix with an injury issue, but he seems to be back. Posted on session of 200s, quite quick 200s on social media, so I think it was just a bit of cramp or something, so he seems okay. Next one, third ranked in the UK, Ben Patterson, 1:45.16, has looked really solid in some races this year. There's no reason to suspect that Ben Patterson won't make the final and be a contender. Dan Rowden, unbelievable, what a talent. Being third fastest in the world a couple of years ago. He's 9th in the UK this year. He's shown a bit of form, 1:45.65, pretty cool customer on his day. Just don't know what to expect from some of these guys when it comes to it. It's been little time to show their form this year. They're just racing themselves fit. Reece Charmanuel, 8th fastest in the UK, 1:45.56, done in the American system, NCAA system. However, didn't run brilliantly in his run in the UK. Then we got Thomas Staines, another American-based athlete. He's done 1:45.28 this year, 5th ranked GB. Showed a little bit better European form this last week, but yet to ever really show it in the UK and the domestic scene in one of these key championships. And then we got Jamie Webb, another one who's raced quite a few times, 1:45.32, 6th ranked. And Jamie, just think, bring it on. He's got a good attitude, and you could be in the mix as well. So a lot depends on how Max Bergin's going to run. Let's really hope that he doesn't pick up a niggle and pull out. Really hope he doesn't. So I'm assuming he's going to be in there. And I've picked out 6 that I think are going to contest for the top 3 spots. Max Bergin, Elliot Giles, Ben Patterson, Jamie Webb, Carl Langford and Dan Rowden. That is quality 6 there. And of those, I would actually say Bergin on form, Giles on sheer consistency and reputation, Patterson on looking really solid, and Downrowden on natural talent and class coming to the top. So that gets it down to 4. I'm probably going to go Bergin, Giles, Rowden. There. Your guess is as good as mine, but even the heats are going to be fantastic to watch. And keep your heads up high, hold your chins up, lads, because there's going to be some disappointments there, but it would be no shame if you don't make the final, but at least give it a really, really good shot. Going to move on to the 1500 metres now, and the depth and the difficulty of predicting the top runners is nowhere near as tough as the men's 800, put it that way. I've got 4 athletes listed who are on accepted entry list. Melissa Courtney Bryant, who's done 404.13 this year. Now bear in mind the World Championships qualifying is 404.20. She's inside it, as is Katie Snowden, who's doing 403.90, as is Laura Muir, as you'd expect. She's done 402.81 this year, but importantly around 157 for 800 and 158 I think last week, in a couple of days of each other. And then the intriguing accepted entry is Eilish Mccolgan. Now Eilish struggled in Oslo and dropped out of the 5,000, citing a stinking cold, being unwell, said she shouldn't have attempted it, and I do wonder then where she's going to recover from that, go away, train, consolidate and come back. So I'm sort of not expecting her to race, and I expect her to pull out. Again, don't forget, this becomes important, top 2 from the trials with the qualifying time go. So if Eilish does run and is on form, you might expect her to beat Katie Snowden and Melissa Courtney Bryant. If she doesn't run, then the battle is between those 2, perhaps behind Laura Muir for that definite spot. So however it pans out, quite intriguing. It's a shame there's people like Erin Wallace and Adele Tracy not entered. I guess, well, I know Erin Wallace is injured. I guess Adele Tracy's picked something up because she's not listed to race, which is a shame because she was running really well as well. And Ellie Baker seems to have picked the 800, even though she's not far away from the 1500 qualifying time. So perhaps going to the more competitive 800 from the 1500, because she hasn't got the qualifying time for either. So there we go. Quick, short and sweet on the women's 1500. It's a high number of mid-30s have entered that, so 2 or 3 heats. Game on the Friday night. The heats, in fact, the women's heats are at Friday 7:45, and the final Saturday at 3:45. So it looks like probably 3 heats, I would imagine, at the moment, depending on how many others withdraw. Which would be, what would that be? First 3 and 3 fastest losers to the final, most probably. First 3 and 3 fastest losers give 12 in the final. Okay, let's turn to the men. Intriguing, but perhaps not the same depth as the 800, but still extremely competitive. The heats for the men's 1500 are at 7:20 on Friday, and the final at 3:56 on Saturday. At the moment, we've got about 40 people accepted entries, 40, which will be at least 3 heats. And if it was 3 heats, that would be first 3 from each and 3 fastest losers. And bearing in mind I've got 9 listed, that means if the seeding has to be done spot on, well, probably won't be, but if the seeding is done spot on, these 9 would be split evenly across the 3 heats, and there'd be no room for anybody else. And there's some really good runners in the in the rest of this. So this is what I've got listed as potentially in the mix, put it that way. Piers Copeland did 3:36 on 2 indoors, been searching for a bit of outdoor form. He won the British Miners Club A race at Watford Grand Prix. Similarly, Archie Davis has done 3:40.11 this year. He's also entered the 800, probably as a backup to the 1500. I think he might go for the 1500. Elliot Giles has now withdrawn from the 15, it seems, and going for the 8. Then you've got somebody who is a world finalist on his day, class athlete, coming into really good shape, having done 1:44.8 for 800 last weekend. He's also ran the mile a couple of days before in 3:52 in Oslo, and he's run 3:34.85, full fastest ranked Brit this year. That's Neil Gurley, who has got an incredible last lap, great tactical nous for getting it right in a race that's run in a certain way. And you've got Jake Hayward, 3rd fastest, 3:33.54, recently ran 1:47.7 for 800 metres. Josh Kerr, who admits he doesn't like racing particularly. He would like to just turn up and race the world final or Olympic final each year, and that'd be his one race for the year. Can't be like that, Josh, unfortunately. And he hasn't done much this year. He's run 3:32.86 indoors. He broke 3:50 for the mile indoors, didn't he? Yeah. He's run 3:35.92. He is the 2nd ranked Brit outdoors this year. He ran an 800 in 1:46.95 was his most recent performance, I think. And he ran a 5,000 early season, which wasn't near his best, but in the 3:30s. So you'd like to think Josh knows what he's doing. Very confident young man, probably has a plan. I wouldn't discount him like 1 or 2 people have this season. The only question mark is, has getting the Olympic bronze and having a late end to last season and a rest afterwards, is that taking something away from him mentally? Does he need to gear up again for another year? Who knows? George Mills running very consistently. He's done 3:36.03 indoors. Good in the fast finish. If they go 3:32 pace, perhaps he's going to struggle to hang on. And similarly could be said for Matt Stonia, who's the 5th fastest Briton this year, 3:35.92. Always one to watch out for at the finish. Similar to Piers Copeland, actually. Yeah, in a certain run, if a race is run in a certain way, could make a surprise. And we've got James West, somebody I'm close to at Tunbridge AC, run 3:38.44, has overcome a few injury niggles and got them sorted, started to show some getting nearer back to his best and a bit more confidence, a bit happier the way he's running. So hopefully Westy be in the final, be able to do himself justice amongst this international field, really. And you got Jake Whiteman, fastest in the country this year, 3:32.62. Broke the Scottish mile record at Oslo last week with 3:50. Really gave it a go. And this is so similar to last year. I don't think Neil Gurley was in the Olympic trials last year. He wasn't, actually. But otherwise, the similar characters involved. If I was to look at the top 3, I've got 4 athletes contending for the top 3: Whiteman, Kerr, Hayward and Gurley. If it's a certain run pace around, I don't know, say it's around 60-second pace, with a fast finish, the likes of Matt Stonia, even Piers Copeland could come into play. But if it is strung out at all, a little way out, then these top guys with the fastest times are probably going to rise to the top. And it's interesting when it comes to it, Whiteman's done 1:44.18, Kerr's done a 1:45, Gurley's now done a 1:44, Hayward's done a 1:47. What does that tell you? Yeah, it's Jake Hayward. Look out for Neil Gurley, I'd say. You've got to go. Who's going to better Josh Kerr? Olympic bronze medalist? Kerr, Whiteman, Gurley. My logic. What's the chances, eh? So that's the 1500s for you. So we now come to the 5000s. Similar races in terms of depth, I would say. The women's race is Saturday, towards the end of the day, 6:15, and the men's at 4:10 on Sunday. Let's just again hope the weather's good. Starting with the women, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 girls who I feel, you know, are deserving of a mention. Put it that way. More than that, they're all deserving of a mention, but particular mention that on form can challenge. Sam Harrison, more known on the roads prior to this year, but has been chipping away at her PBs and a very aggressive front runner. She won't mess about, I don't think. So somebody like Sam in the race will make it much more of an honest run race, and that makes it a little bit more predictable perhaps than it might otherwise be, and I think that's good. I think that's how it should be. She's ranked 6th this year on the rankings, 15:22, but probably going quicker and quicker each race, so she might get down a bit closer to the World Champs qualifying is 15:10. Europeans is 15:25, so she's inside that. So it's probably in her interest to make it quick. She can create an impression again. So Sam Harrison there. Jess Judd, she's broken 15 this year. I think it's the Birmingham Diamond League. She's actually the fastest on rankings at 14:57. She didn't quite break 15, although the weather wasn't great in Oslo in Bislett. But she's ranked fastest in the UK. Although having said that, Eilish Mccolgan, during her fast 10,000 in Holland recently, went through in 15 minutes, and I think that's the second fastest time by Brit this year. And then you've got Amy Markovic, who's run 8:40 in Morocco for 3,000, hasn't done a 5,000 this year. Jenny Nesbitt, who's run 15:17. Verity Ockenham's only done 15:31 this year. If she's on the up and, you know, improving, she's quite capable of a sub 15:15 on a day. Callie Thackeray ran so brilliantly to win the 5,000 at the British Miners Club Grand Prix recently, did 15:06. She's the 4th fastest. Yeah, that surprised quite a lot of people to see such a time in Watford. But yeah, and a second quicker and one above her in the rankings is Sarah Inglis, who did that in the USA early season, and her latest race was 31:39 at the Highgate night of 10,000s. So they're the girls I'm mentioning. As I said, same with the 1500. Eilish Mccolgan, is she going to turn up? I'm not so sure she is. Having been unwell, why would she? She's got the times. She's probably going to get selected anyway. She's the standout in terms of times at 5,000 and 10,000. So I don't see why she would turn up and risk having been unwell just a week ago. So my top 3 would be Judd, Markovic and Thackeray. Yeah, that'd be my guess as things stand. And then turning to the men, I've got 6 listed, although a very good field in depth. So this is on Sunday at 4:10. The World Champs qualifying time is 13:13.5. Europeans is 13:24 out of interest. Sam Atkins done 13:03. He's the second fastest Brit this year. His last race though was a win on the 11th of June, so 10 days ago. when he ran 27.33 for 10,000. He was obviously aiming to try and get the World Champs qualifying time for that, but missed it by 5 seconds, even though he won the race, which is a bit frustrating for him. So has he recovered? Is he going to give it a go? Is he going to rest on his laurels a bit with his 13.03? He's proved his fitness, I would say. Yeah, I don't know. I probably wouldn't expect him to race. It's a bit too close to that 10,000. Probably prefers to do the 10,000 at the Champs. Yeah, I'm guessing he's not going to race myself. Could be totally wrong. I mean, even if he does, I'll come to that in a second, whether he'll affect the top 3. Andy Butchart, I don't know. You might know more than I do about Andy Butchart. Not raced for a while. Rumours of injuries, etc. Still on the start list. If he turns up, sure he'll give it a go. Yeah, I don't know what to think about Andy Butchart, but it's not such an easy race this as it might have been in the past, so he'd have to be at his best to compete against a few of the others. Patrick Diva, he's done 13.20 this year, 3rd fastest on rankings. He's done quicker. I think he can go quicker. He's got a great pedigree in championship races, NCAA champion, was it last year or year before? Good strong finisher, so Paddy's in form, probably got to be a mix. Jack Rowe, PB 341 1500 recently. He's done 13.26 this year. The spell altitude training early in the season, came back, probably he admitted himself he wasn't at his absolute best after that, but he's starting to feel better. Watford Grand Prix, I say, 341 1500, so he's been working on his speed. He's 6th ranked in the UK this year, so I expect him to put on a good show and perhaps be in the mix. Then we got Mark Scott. Well, Mark's ultra consistent, 12.57, fastest in the UK this year. Yeah, he'll be looking for top 2 and guarantee his slot, I would imagine, 5,000. So yeah. And then we got Jake Smith, who I've listed, Jake ran 28.14 in the same race Sam Atkin ran 10 days ago. So I'm not convinced that he's nailed the sort of ability to run the track times that are needed to get the qualifying times for things like the World Championships or Olympics. He can run a good race. He can probably run in 13.30s, but I'm not sure he's quite up with 1 or 2 of the others. So when it comes to the top 3, I'm going to put my neck on the line and say Sam Atkin might not race, and Andy Butchart is not at his best. So I might go. I've not even seen Mark Scott race significantly recently. I might go Diva, Scott and Rowe. Again, you probably know more than I do. And then finally we go on to the steeplechases, and the women's steeplechase is at 3:05 on Sunday, and the men's is at 4:55 on Saturday. Women's straightforward. I think there's only 3. If they start, there's only 3 in it really that can really challenge, who stand out above the rest. That's Lizzie Bird, who broke the British record recently with 9:19. Amy Pratt, who's run 9:25. The World Championships qualifying time is 9:30. The Europeans is 9:39, which Elise Thorner's got, and she's got 9:32 as her fastest this year, but she also ran 9:33 in the NCAA final recently and was 5th in that. So they're the 3. Lizzie Bird beat Amy Pratt last year. She's quicker. I'll go Bird, Pratt and Thorner. Right, finally, men's 3,000 metre steeplechase. got a bit of a sweet spot for the Steeplechasers. They're just so close to getting qualifying times on so many occasions in recent years. The World Championships qualifying is 8:22, the Europeans 8:30. Nobody's done 8:22 this year. Will Battersall coming into form on the up. He's done 8:31, fifth fastest. Jermaine Coleman 8:28 is third fastest, and ran really well indoors. And if he's on form, could be right in the mix. Then you've got Johnny Hopkins, almost resurgent in a way, 8:31, fourth fastest this year. Dan Jarvis has done 8:37, the sixth fastest. Phil Norman 8:26, he's the second fastest, but ran a PB 1500 recently at Watford, 3:41. So perhaps he has confidence in his 3000 steeplechase ability, just pushing his speed up a little bit. Mark Pearce, he's only done 8:44 this year, ran so well, I think, to win the British Trials last year. He's the seventh fastest this year, and looking at Power 10 on the 8th of June, ran 8:49, so it looks like Mark is struggling to get back to form after what I think was injury for a while, recent months. And then you've got Zach Seddon, Mr. Consistency, done 8:24 this year, top of the British rankings, and sure to be battling it out and giving it all he can. Phil Norman struggled last year in the trials, won by Mark Pearce, but maybe he'll come back and make up for that this year. So I'm going Norman, Seddon, Coleman. Again, it's like so many of these events, you know, it doesn't matter what I say, it's what happens on the day. And that's my roundup, I think. I'm sure I've missed something. I'm sure I would have upset somebody. But hopefully what I've got across is that many of the events are at least intriguing, if not incredibly entertaining to watch. So it's worth tuning in if you're not going. But I hope to see a number of you there Friday through Sunday at the end of this week. So good luck to all the athletes, all those that are on the accepted list at the moment. Hope you make it to the start line at least, and good luck. Hope you have good ones.